Right, what's up guys? Welcome back to Ando Works. So Tyler's back, so in this episode we're going to be working on the E30. For those of you who didn't watch the first video on it, quick recap, it's a slick top E30 coupe and it's got E36 drivetrain, bunch of suspension, some other modifications and stuff as well. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking, well we're going to be working on it, we're going to be putting these style 5 wheels on it, which are a bit smaller than the current 17s that it's running. And they're causing a few issues for us. And also a couple of the other things we're going to address is the geometry of the front sway bars with these. And while it's in the air and the wheels are all off, we are going to do the guibo for the drive shaft. Hopefully that'll fix some vibration issues we've got, and we've got a new centre bearing for it there as well. We're also going to clearance the fenders with the fender roller, and hopefully that'll make our driving experience a little bit nicer. So that's where we're going to start, and we're going to see where we go from there. We've got heaps of parts to get through, but it's sort of one process at a time. Alright, so the car's currently got dial 32s. These are really common for cars with 5-stud swaps like this. This car's got a E36 Ti rear arms, and that's how you get the 5-stud bolt pattern on here. So this is very common for people to do this. The problem with that is it's very hard to get small diameter wheels for this PCD, because most of the cars that came with these wheels, they're a lot bigger. We've got style 32s, I'm not really into them. I'm sure they could work in places with smooth roads, but we just need more travel here with the bumpy roads, and I'm getting rubbing quite bad, especially on the other side. So a wheel alignment will help with that, but also going to a smaller size wheel is going to make a massive difference. So that's why we're going with style 5s. This is a smaller wheel, it's a 16-inch, but it's also a narrower tyre. So these are 215s, and we're going to a 205 on this. So we're actually getting the smaller wheel, but we're also getting a bit more of a roll. So that's going to give us quite a bit more clearance when you get up close to the guard, like as the wheel's sucked up during its travel. So that's the story with the back of the car, and I'll show you at the front now. So in the front, this is also a common setup for a 5-stud swap. It's an E36 Evo, like brakes and hub and everything. So this is the better way to do it with existing BMW parts, that you're not going to change the geometry too much, but you will have a slightly wider track width. So what this means is when you're going to change wheels, you're actually going to need like a slightly more positive offset than what you would if this was still a 4-stud car. As you can see here, the front of this car is still like really high compared to the back, and that's quite simply because you just can't lower this enough and keep any clearance with these guards. So we're also going to benefit by going to the smaller wheel at the front, and we should be able to lower this a little bit to make it look a little bit better, and it should handle a little bit better, being a little bit more stable at the front. This 205/50 R16 is actually quite a common tyre here, which makes them really cheap, which is ideal for like race cars and stuff. I actually wanted to go for like a 205/45 because I think the fitment would have been a bit better, but they're just so much more expensive because they're uncommon, so that's why we've chosen to go with this tyre. Also, the taller sidewall with the 50 ratio is going to be better for the diff that's in this car. Otherwise it would have just added to that high revving at like, you know, higher speeds. So it should work pretty well, but we'll see in a minute. So this is where we're up to now. I have adjusted these coilovers a little bit lower. I measured the car before and it was a bit lopsided. So now we are 15 mils lower on this side, 10 mils on the other side, and we just removed the end links off the sway bar, which you can see here. The idea is that when the car's on the ground under its own weight, that's horizontal, and before it wasn't, so that's why we've got these adjustable ones. So I'll be installing that next, and we'll set it up when the car's on the ground later. Alright, so we got the sway bar end links in, and then I couldn't resist, so I got a wheel on. I've actually got all of them all on already. They fit perfectly. I'm pretty stoked that the internet was right for once, and they do actually clear these M3 brakes, so that's a huge win. So they're all on. I've had a good look around, there's no rubbing or anything. I've lowered the car quite a bit in the front and leveled out the back, but we won't really know until it gets on the ground and settles. But Next step from here is to do the drivetrain, and then we'll put it on the ground and see what it looks like. Alright, so a few hours later and we got the drive shaft out. That was an absolute nightmare, but anyway, we got there in the end. New problem, my pullers are actually a little bit short to get this center bearing out. Before I butcher it, I'm just going to take it to a bearing place and get them to slide the new one on for me tomorrow. It's important with these two-piece drive shafts to like mark them. As you can kind of see there, I've marked this half and the other half. So that when you put them back together they're not out of balance and you don't get driveline vibration. I've got the new guibo on this end. The other 3 bolts there go into the back of the drive gearbox flange. Only hold ups this bearing at the moment, so tomorrow's job and moving right along with the rest of it. So these ramps have been in the shed for years, just one of like Dad's collections of things that never get used, but they've been perfect for this job. It let me put the weight of the car on these front wheels to get the suspension sitting right so I could adjust that sway bar linkage and obviously still get under the car because Connor's Zed's on the hoist at the moment, so been rolling around all day. So I'm pretty happy with how these Style 5s had actually worked on this car. No hub-centric ring needed, clear the brakes, clear all the steering, sway bars, knuckles, everything. It's like the perfect cheap wheel if you're running this M3 Evo setup, so I recommend it to anyone else who's got a similar setup. So it's about time to put this car back on the ground. Check the ride height, make sure we're on the right path here.
Train after running, weighing on my brain, start to let it forget. Still I'm a simple man.
Alright, so wheels, suspension and driveline is all sorted and we're off on our first test drive, see if it all works.
Try to find a way to go, running out of options, my pockets filled up with black holes. Like a tadpole, prophet in the poetry, a stone dope addict. I panic if no one noticed me. Every now and then I need a minute, sip of Milo, take a bite of toast, so down and vibe behind us. To play the coffee, just matter than doesn't either. Stay and play it wrong, but it doesn't matter the reason. The only way I know that I don't, you wouldn't notice it. I sit around the house so
Alright, so that's it for this video. We're going to get straight into the next video sorting out the interior, so stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching. Make the monitors melt.